Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews, I want to get this little message in. This ain't going to be no little long message, but this is just something for the Israelite Brotherhood family to think about. You know, as we Israelites are waking up, and then, it's kind of like we're rushing into this heritage, and it's people, discussing the Israelite topic all over in all kind of places. Even, the little brother on the street corner, you know what I'm saying, they hang out at the gas station, you know what I'm saying? The brothers that be hustling on the corners, even they getting a little awareness, man, about the Israelite heritage, from the Kanye West and that other dude, Curry, being exposed, and then, I done spoke to some Israelites because they know I've been doing this for a long time, and then, a lot of them come say, oh man, we Israelites, you've been saying this for a long time. You've been saying this for a long time. And, all that's good as well, but then I be trying to, tell the Israelites, man, I be trying to go in depth with it sometime all at once, and them Israelites don't be understanding because they be just waking up. But I be trying to tell them, man, just in case I don't get a chance to just rap with them no more, to open their eyes a little more. I be saying, man, there's a difference between Jewish history and Israelite history, Hebrew Israelite history. It's a difference, you know what I'm saying? And that the Jews' history uh, uh, is basically what Israelites been going by today. You know what I'm saying? And that you have to be real blessed, man, to run across the history, that's Jewish free. And that's what the Israelite Brotherhood showed. History that's free of Jewish myths and so forth. That 10 lost tribes that run into Africa in 70 AD stuff. That kind of stuff, and then being, free of them myths, man, you get to see your history and so forth. But you ain't gonna see your history if you believe in the history that Sephardi and Ashkenazi has presented, for the world and so forth. And I kind of explain, in the videos, how we Israelites abandon our heritage to the what's called, the Jewish people, Ashkenazi and Sephardi, and how we took off during the Babylonian Wars into Africa and so forth. And it's starting to seek in. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of Israelites, they ain't gonna get the credit where it's due, but this history is starting to get around, and that's the purpose for it. You know what I'm saying, is that we got to have some good solid history when we, discussing the Israelite issue. You know what I'm saying? With others, it's best to be on sure-footed, ground and solid ground and so forth. And that's what the Israelite Brotherhood stand for, as well as possibly being in a position to settle the whole Israelite issue. All right, Israelites, this is what I want to talk about. What's at stake? You know what I'm saying? What's at stake for the truth coming out on the Israelite heritage? Which Jewish group stands to benefit with the Israelite settlement? And then what I'm saying is, as this Israelite heritage is getting exposed, you know what I'm saying, and the truth is coming out, you know what I'm saying, which of the Jewish group stands to benefit? Because, both of them ain't gonna benefit from us waking up. And I kind of like want to go into some Tanakh history to show the ones that possibly won't benefit. Now, if the peoples that's in control now, wake up and see what's going on, and that we understand what's going on with our heritage and the people we abandon our heritage to. It's like, man, it's a whole lot going on in the world, especially with the Russian war. And all this gonna force a settlement one day, you know what I'm saying? When it all come together, it all translate into the Israelites' freedom. But what I'm trying to get into one of the Jewish groups, man, that'd be the Ashkenazi Jews, is that the Ashkenazi community is that it's beneficial for them to settle the Israelite issue because I can't see the Sephardists being too willing to settle the Israelite issue, and because they are mixed in with a whole lot of our ancient enemies as Amorites, you know what I'm saying, and Moabites and Edomites, and how that they mixed in with them, and then how that they represent part of the Jewish heritage, and that'd be the Hardys, the Herodes, the Sephardists, the Sephardims, and so forth, and how they mix with the Moabites and the Ammonites and all the folks that got into the Israelite heritage. But I explained how the Amorites got into our heritage during Exodus and been there. That's why it's kind of hard, and we got to fight with some real solid history. Is that you got a group of the Jewish people, man, that's been in our heritage for a long time. For a long time. Man, for a long time. Man, they been in our heritage since since Exodus. Now that's a long time to be in our heritage since Exodus, and unaccounted and unnoticed, where they was noticed with our ancestors, with documenting them, you know what I'm saying, and so forth. But as time went on, we lost sight of them folks being in our heritage, and then that's why the priesthood struggled and was never 100 with Yah, is because the Amorites had got into our heritage, and we had made them carriers around the temple, carriers and burden workers and servicers for the temple and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And that was a bad thing that we did. We shouldn't have never did that. In the book of Joshua, explained how the Gabonites got in our heritage, and I show you how they are Amorites. And then it's history in the Tanakh. I can show how the Amorites mix with the Moabites in the Ammonites long time ago, and then how they're not supposed to be in our heritage, and then they're in our heritage now. And I can show that how that they was in our heritage before the exiles were destroyed. The prophet Nehemiah may explain their history in detail, and I'm gonna probably go into some of it and read it, but they wasn't supposed to ever be in our heritage, but yet the folks in our heritage right now today, so they ain't gonna be too quick to want to share our heritage with the original owners. They ain't gonna want to share the heritage that we run off for, that they kept and claimed, and then that they ain't gonna share it with us because they done shared it with a whole bunch of other folks, Asian peoples and Africans and Europeans, and it's been men ain't shared the Israelite heritage with everybody but except its original owners. And then they got a whole administrative system designed in captivity to keep the Israelites out of their heritage. You know what I'm saying? That's like now, man, if a transatlantic slave trade descendant try to get a Israelite baby Hebrew names, man, when they born, and if you got a slave name, man, they want to see your ID and everything, and whatever your last name is going on that baby, and then that's how they keep you locked out your heritage, by keeping you with slave names. Even though we're trying to break free on a little bitty level, what this Amorite system got is set up, man, administratively, where they can hinder us on all aspects, everything. We could be hindered administratively with everything. You know what I'm saying? And man, you can be administratively demise. You know what I'm saying? All they got to do is start making laws that is maybe it's against the law, men to be here or there, which they got them in places, but you know, in places that we really frequent. You know what I'm saying? Make it against the law and all kind of stuff, man, that can do, man, and it'll put you in jail and it mess your life with paying your bills. Oh man, it's just ruin you and stuff. And then, you know, mental anguish lead to bad health. But this administrative system was set up by the folks that we abandon our heritage to. So they ain't gonna be too quick to want to give us our heritage when they got a system set up to keep us out of our heritage. And then they recognize all other folks around the world as being Israelites. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I meant explain in one video, and hopefully the Ashkenazi community is listening, is that the Seb artists can be real slick now. They can be real slick, and then all they got to do is fix it where the Israelites in captivity that's claiming the Israelite heritage come in up under they African converts and then bring them into the promised land. Man, that'll knock Ashkenazi out the box. Ashkenazi finna be facing some problems anyway coming up soon, because the Eastern nations, who's founded by the Sephardists, and you know, the Eastern nations, you know what I'm saying, that's like in the Islamic religion. It's a thing, against the Jewish state in the Palestinians. I think it's six Jewish, six Arabic states recognize the Jewish community, and 21 of them don't. And how that, you know, that's finna be a problem when the power is shifting towards the Eastern nations, is that all of them finna back a Eastern nation, and Ashkenazi is finna have no support but from the European nations that's being defeated right now, stripped out by Russia and so forth, which is the population is Asian people and so forth, and how that they showing that hey, y'all can't do nothing because they won in Ukraine and so forth. And even though the all these Western nations sending their arms to them, that they ain't able to overcome the Russians, and they ain't gonna be able to overcome them because the Israelite heritage is tied into this event, you know, that hopefully spread and become a world war, and we'll really be free. You know, our freedom is not having nobody over us. No authority over us is what we shooting for, is no authority over us. We don't want no United States government over us. We don't want the United States government telling us crap. You know what I'm saying? And how we all want to be free and be in the promised land where we originally from. You know, we know our ancestors ran off during the Babylonian wars and never returned and so forth, and how we are the descendants that's caught up in this Amorite administrative culture that they designed in what's called the United States of America. All right, Israelites, man, I want to, you know, man, the people that's back in the Eastern nations, and you know, they got the religion Islam. You know what I'm saying? And I just finished doing a little research, on, you know what I'm saying, if you ever read, ever watch the YouTube videos, you know, the kings and generals, you know what I'm saying? I like watching them sometimes, even though, you know, they misleading when anything discussing men the Israelite heritage, but how did they go into detail, about the cow fight, you know, slavery and the cow fight, and how the cow fight mostly focus on Africans and so forth, and other poor folks, and the the poor and needy, they are bruised and sold, and it was terrible. And I have no respect for their religion. You know, if you watch the Crusader Wars and how Christianity and Islam battled and so forth, all those years and all those people died, man, you know what I'm saying, participating in those organizations and so forth, the Templars and all that stuff, man. All them folks perish. Man, Christianity is evil. You mean you can't get no evil than Christianity, because then they got a demigod that they say that there's the Creator Almighty, y'all Son, come down here to die for everybody sins and so forth, which didn't affect us, you know, that was kidnapped during the transatlantic slave trade, that's been over here in bondage for a long time, and how did Jesus ain't helped us no kind of way, and then harmed us in a very big sense. Believing in Jesus ain't gonna let you appreciate and worship Almighty Yah alone, and then understand the blessings and the curses and the covenant that we made with Almighty Yah, and understanding in its entirety and so forth. And you're not finna get that believing in demigod worship. But you know, look, 26 6 of 21 Arab states recognize the Jewish state existence, and then they only recognize, you know what I'm saying, they only tolerating Ashkenazi, and that how all the Eastern nations, you know, that's like Christianity recognize Ashkenazi as being the Israelites, and then Islam recognize the Sephardists as being Israelites and so forth, and how those two groups been fighting by proxy for a long time over the Israelite heritage. And oh man, they been all the wars all the wars is connected to it. All the Crusader Wars is connected to it. All the wars men before then that was fought and stuff is connected to the Promised Land, from the Assyrian times all the way down, and how that little piece of land was always, you know, man, the center of, you know, the battles and the conflict and so forth. And that's because, you know, I explain in videos how we Israelites ran off during the Babylonian Wars, and how the Sephardists was in our heritage as Amorites from Exodus. And then some more of them come from Babylon. You know, the king of Assyria dropped some more of them off, man, from Babylon. And then, man, they was in our heritage. And then Ashkenazi that chased us into Africa during the Babylonian Wars, he settled in this part called Scythopolis. Scythopolis, it was head of the Discopolis cities, where the Jesuses, a whole bunch of them, spent their whole time dealing with Ashkenazi. I got a video explaining this, that how Jesus only dealt with Ashkenazi in the Discopolis cities and so forth, and they would have been looking like this. They'd have been looking like this. They'd have been looking like this. Look, you see that Edomite. Look, you see that Edomite over there. Edomites over there. And then they would go into the synagogues. You know, Jesus would have been looking like that. Jesus would have been looking like that, and he would have went into the synagogues that Ashkenazi had control of, getting a learning about the Israelite heritage and so forth. And then how during her time, the Edomites had the temple, and Ashkenazi had the synagogues and so forth. And then that'll tell you that little interaction in the New Testament and so forth. Even though it's a history written after the fact and by third party persons, but if you understand Tanakh history and understand how to foreigners moved into our land, then you'll understand how those folks got there and stuff. And then can't no Israelite say that the Ashkenazi can't come and ain't been in our heritage, and they only come in since Germany time or something. Man, them folks been in our heritage since the Babylonian Wars, and then they settled in Scythopolis, and then man, they been there, but you Israelites don't know man about their history because you been believing in the history that they wrote and you couldn't see them. You see, because you believe in the history that they wrote, so you're not gonna be able to see them if you believe in the history that they write about themselves as being Israelites, and then that's what the Israelite community been going through and so forth. But during New Testament times, there would have been them folks, and then I can show that the New Testament folks would be these folks right here. And then I'm gonna try to get into the topic that I originally want to speak about. It's like who stands the game doing our settlement one day. If we can go on and get them to come on and get it started, then we could bring this Israelite issue to an end. We can bring this Israelite issue to an end, and that's what the Israelite Brotherhood goal is to bring the whole Israelite issue to an end. That's like when the Jewish community make the settlement of the Israelite issue through the Israelite Brotherhood, and I'm in contact with some of them, the important ones, that when the issue come, man, to be settled, that you gonna have to know this history that the Israelite Brotherhood showed in order to even be moving towards a settlement, and that how everybody won't won't be making it to the promised land under the Israelite Brotherhood if I have my way, because we not gonna let the demigod worshippers back in. It don't make no sense to let the demigod worshippers back in, or the people that believe in the Jewish myths, like them Israelites that's over there in the promised land. Now in Dimona, they in the desert. They ain't in nowhere near in prophecy range with settling the Israelite issue. It seemed like when they went back, that it would have brought the Israelite issue to an end, and that they would have been in a position to argue and bring the Israelite issue to an end. They in contact with the Jewish community all the time, but they don't have correct history. They don't have correct history, so they can't say the right things to bring about the end to the Israelite issue, even though they in the promised land. They in the promised land being dogged out. They in the desert next to nuclear plants. They ain't nowhere near where prophecies say we should be. They at the opposite, the extreme opposite, in the desert, instead of the mountainous raging and so forth. And how did they are not able to speak for the whole Israelite community because they don't have no truth. The people in the Israelites in Dimona history come off the New Testament demigod worship. They believe in Yahwashas and they believe in the New Testament history, and then they believe that we ran into Africa because her Edomite temple was destroyed. I got a video showing that. So they can't be no representation, and they ain't the representation of the Israelite community because they got false history. Almighty Yah made sure of that. So, but what I'm saying is, when this Israelite issue come towards a settlement, that means we're going to have to go back with truth. That we can't go back with Jewish myths and falsehood to make you stumble again. And then, that's what's going to make the people humble themselves towards us, is that we got correct history. It's like it's a lot of y'all in the Israelite community that's, using this history, and you ain't giving credit for where it's coming from, but Almighty Yah gonna make who he will to represent us when it's time to come, whether it's me or somebody else. I just pray that Almighty Yahweh let me bring this history to the Israelite community that I get to walk it all the way through, because I know what to do. I know what to do. I know what needs to be done to bring the Israelite issue to a settlement, and I know what needs to be done in the promised land. Whereas a lot of you Israelites in these other organizations, this ain't even on the thought of mind of your leaders, because your leaders are probably undercover masons all kind of stuff working against you. The Israelites in the organization that is not associated with the Israelite Brotherhood in its history is that you're going to have a Jewish mess, and you ain't going to be probably nowhere near closer to the truth with understanding true Israelite history with what happened to us and so forth. You know, man, you got to explain how Ashkenazi got into our heritage. You got to explain how the Sephardists got into our heritage. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the New Testament folks. I'm finna show how this is the folks right here. And Israelites don't even take Tanakh history into consideration. And then how did they just believe in just everything but what they supposed to believe in. You know, believe in everything but what they supposed to believe in. Alright, you know what I'm saying? You see this here right here, this the exiles. Now the majority of us, the 99% in Africa, the 99%, if it was millions of us, 900,000 and 900, you know what I'm saying, others went into Africa during the Babylonian Wars, and then that little 1% that was captured, that was released by the Persians. They only protectors when they come home. They come home to a land full of foreigners and so forth. And then these will be the peoples that didn't understand the Israelite history, that would create demigods and Jesus worship and so forth. And then you go to Ezra 4, and then when you get down to 9, man, you got to account for these folks. Look, then wrote Rumi the counselor, and Shimi the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Danites, the Arphichites, the Tarpalites, the Arshafites, the Achivites, the Babylonians, the Shushanites, the Devites, the Elamites, and the rest of the nations whom the great noble Asnapper brought over and set in the cities of Samaria. So where those folks go to? They didn't have a complete understanding of our heritage. So where they go to? You Israelites don't account for them. Well, I can. That's the New Testament people, is these folks, as well as a whole bunch of other folks that moved into the promised land. But them will be the folks that's in the New Testament that start claiming the Israelite heritage, as well as these folks here. And all them folks, man, will be tinted with Moabites, Ammonites, and Amorites. That's why I say, man, if y'all ain't got y'all history right, man, you're just gonna be going in circles. And how you got to come to the Israelite Brotherhood, man, to get some correct history. That's just the way it is. And when the HQ go up, the headquarters go up, oh man, I'm gonna go harder than this. You know I got to save some for the headquarters. This just the first layer. Man, there's about 5 more layers of this. Alright, look here. Alright. 2 Kings. And these placed by the Syrians. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuddar, Ava, Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria. So those folks there, from somewhere else, they would want to worship like we do, but because they come from a place that worship God's sons in all form and fashions. Babylon history ain't nothing but full of God's sons history. And because they worship that, then they gonna mix our history with that. And then that's how you get that New Testament God's son worship. And they gonna make it sound legit because they infused in the Israelite heritage, and then they been God's son worshiping for about 5,000 years, man, before we was even Israelites. You know they've been doing it a long time. So it was nothing for them to make God's son worship and then make it legit and make it sound good to where it's believable. And you Israelites believe in it. And the main reason why we believe in it is because the slavery days. You know, because the slavery days, if we would have had alternative information with just Tanakh only in the history that we got now today, it wouldn't no Israelites believe in Christianity. And the ones that believe in the New Testament are the ones who haven't been exposed to real, Israelite history. But you see those settlers, and then these settlers right here. You don't know how many of them folks, millions. Everybody come over. Everybody come over and settle. And then all these folks come from God's son belief worshiping areas. All of them believe in God's son, so you know they gonna create God's son belief and then tie it into the Tanakh because they are already in Tanakh heritage from Exodus. The Gabonites. The Gabonites. All right. And I can show all that, but let me get to this right here. All right. What's at stake for the truth coming out on the Israelite heritage? All right. What's at stake is the religion, the Abrahamic religions, being dissolved, and then that'll be one of the reasons why the Jewish community ain't really just too quick to want to settle the Israelite issue, because you got to think Israelites. Now you got folks been in our heritage and then created. I say that I know for certain, and I can show with certainty that they start creating the false Israelite heritage books and stuff like that after the exiles were destroyed and the Tanakh was complete, and that they start making those books like Esaias, the apocryphal books, and all those books outside the Tanakh are going to be Jewish created books, no matter how good that they sound and how much truth that they show, because the Amorites been in our heritage since Exodus, under Joshua rule. After Prophet Moses passed away, they got in immediately, and then how that the Israelites, gonna be, thrown off because that, and then how that they gonna have a version of our history that they could tie in to their history easy, and then that's what happened. They synchronized everything. So these folks being in our heritage, and then Judaism is what they created off our heritage, and then off of that, I tell y'all that the two groups, Ashkenazi and Sephardi, having proxy wars, and they ain't gonna go head up. They ain't gonna go head up. So they masterminds, they masters with this Israelite heritage, and they go create religions. And then that's Christianity and Islam, and then they call them the Abrahamic religions. They call them the Abrahamic religions. They call them the Abrahamic religions. But we know that Prophet Abraham ain't endorsed now one of them religions, and that Judaism gonna come off and was created by the people that we abandoned our heritage to, that was in our heritage, them Amorite Gabonites. And then look here, and then let me show y'all, and I done showed y'all how the fallen angelic beings got into our heritage, the Nephilims. You see, now me exposing all this, showing that they tied into the Palestinians, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Edomites, the Jordanians, and the Arab tribes, that they should get Ashkenazi the green light to come on and do what's right and separate from them folks, because we can show biblically that they ain't supposed to be in our heritage. We can show that. But let me show this here. All right. I want to show this. The Abrahamic religions. That Almighty Yah ain't endorsed them. and that how that the Amorites, who are the Sephardists, ain't supposed to be in our heritage. Man, let me go to let's go to Deuteronomy 23. Let's see what that do first for me. If that'll give me somewhere closer. Well, I can show how the Amorites in our heritage and ain't supposed to, and I show this all the time. All the time. Alright? You see there? Under Joshua, them Canaanite tribes got together when we was coming into the land and we was going to destroy them. And some of them tricked us and put some old dirty clothes on and some old shoes and say that they walked from a long way. And that how they did want to serve us. And then how we didn't consult Almighty Yah. And them was Amorites. And then how that they got into our heritage because we made them carriers of the wood. And whatever temple or congregation we'll have, that they'll do the work around it. Keep the grass cut. That's the worst thing we could have did because when we run off, they had everything, books and everything. And then look, you see the Gabonites. Look, the Gabonites. And when the inhabitants of Gabon heard that Joshua had and what he had done to Jericho, that they did work willingly and went and made as if they had been ambassadors and took old sacks upon their asses and wine bottles and old and rent and bound up and old shoes and clotted out their feet and old garments. Them and all the bread their provisions was dry and moldy, and then they come trick us like they always trick us today. They always trick the Israelites. Been tricking the Israelites for a long time with their heritage, but it's over now because the Israelite Brotherhood is showing you the light. Now look, you see them Gabonites, all right, and then when you go to well, that's gonna be Samuel 21. We're gonna confirm this. Samuel 21. All right, Samuel 21. All right, it's talking about the Gabonites. Look, and the king called the Gabonites and said unto them, now the Gabonites, look, now the Gabonites were not of the children of Israel, but were the remain of the Amorites. The remain of the Amorites and the children of Israel had sworn unto them. You see what I'm saying? Oh man, now let's go see who the Amorites mixed up with. We know who the Amorites mixed up with. You know what I'm saying? The Amorites gonna be mixed up with the giants. With the giants. You know what I'm saying? And let me go to, man, I think it's Deuteronomy 2, 3. Let's see what that say. If I could pull something up there. Alright. For only Og of Bashan remained of the giants. And behold, his bedstead was of iron. Is it not in Rebah of the children of Ammon? You know what I'm saying? So the Ammonites was intermingled with the giants, the Amorites, but because Bashan was a Amorite, Nephilim is what the giant mean, that they was big in knowledge. Now let's go to Genesis 4, 6:4 and see what that say. They was big in knowledge is all it was, and they called them giants because they was big in knowledge and smarter than everybody. So they was the big man. Not that they was big and, you know what I'm saying, and so forth. Alright. And these were the giants of the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Yah come into the daughters of man, and they bear children to them. The same become mighty men which were of old in a renown, just like I said. They were smart and had knowledge. And that's what a giant was. He was smart and had knowledge that the average person didn't have, because they going to be descended from the fallen angelic beings. And the Amorites was tended heavily with it. That's why it's hard to understand those Sephardists, because they tended with Nephilim, and they masterminds with creating civilization in administrative structures to keep you lost and away from whatever they want you to be kept away from. You know what I'm saying? So let's go to Numbers 13:33. Let's see what that says. I'm close by it. So we know the giants. The giants is in the giants is in the Nephilims is in the Amorites. Alright, so then we go to 13:33. 13:33. And there we saw the giants, the son of Enoch, which come of the giants. Alright, so we know the giants. Alright, and then we go to, let's see, I think it's Joshua. It's Joshua 13:12. Joshua 13:12. Let's see what this say. Yeah, man. So, me showing that one section of the Jewish folks really can't make no settlement with us because they tended with the folks that, that ain't gonna make a settlement with us. They got our heritage and they want to keep us out. But how the door is open for Ashkenaz if he'll wake up. And I'm going to show you how that it was prophesied he'll be in our house. Look. And all the kingdom of Og in Bashan, which was in Ashtaroth and air the remain of the giants. Alright. So them the giants. Then let's tie them into the Amorites. That's 3:11. Do the running. Do the 3:11. Yeah, that's alright. So that's showing him in Bashan. Alright, then let me go to Numbers 21. Numbers 21. Numbers 21. Let's see what that do for me. Alright, Numbers 21. Let it be 26. Alright. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought with the former king of Moab and had taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Arnan. Wherefore they that speak on the proverb say, Come into Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and prepared. For there is fire gone out of Heshbon in a flame from the city of Sihon. It has consumed of Moab, and the Lord of the high places. Woe to thee, Moab, thou art undone, O people of Kishmish, hath given his sons that escaped and his daughters into the captivity of Sihon, king of the Amorites. So Moab and the Ammonites got fused in with the Amorites. Moab and the Ammonites got fused in with the Amorites. And then these are Amorites right there. The Sepharvim that come from Sippar in Babylon. And plus they was in our land, in our heritage under Joshua, the Gabonites. So, that's the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, and the Amorites gonna fall up under that Semitic term. And them the folks mean that's in our heritage. That's in our heritage right now today. Alright, let's see what Deuteronomy 3:2. I think I done read that already. So they in our heritage already. And then, they ain't supposed to be there. Alright, 3:2. And the Elohim said unto me, Fear him not, for I will deliver him and all his people and his land into thy hand, and thou shalt do unto him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwell in Heshbon. Heshbon. and then that's Amon's dwelling place. So, them folks ain't supposed to be in our heritage. And I can show this real easily how they ain't supposed to be in our heritage. And then if you go to let me see, that'll be, if you go to let's see what they ain't supposed to be in our heritage. I think that's Deuteronomy 2:18. Deuteronomy 2:18. Well, they ain't supposed to be in our heritage, and they there anyway. Deuteronomy 2:18. No, that's not it. No, he told us to go past Ammon, the Moabites in 2:18, and we didn't. They did come out the war against us, and we had to get them. But it's a part where the Creator said that He don't ever want the Moabites, man, to come into the Israelite heritage. I thought I had it marked down. Shouldn't be too far. Y'all told us we weren't supposed to ever be in the temple. All right, Deuteronomy 23:3. Let's see, Deuteronomy 23:3. Hey, that's gonna probably be it. Yes, it's right here. I was looking for it. All right. All right. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Elohim, even unto the 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Elohim forever. Well, I can show you that they got in our heritage. That the Ammonites got in our heritage during the Babylonian wars. You know what I'm saying? They was with the Babylonians. I mean, if you go to 2 Kings, that'd be 2 Kings. But man, I hope you Israelites able to follow this, and then I'm gonna try to sum it up and show that how one part of the Jewish community can't make a settlement with us. Can't make a settlement with us. But because it'll be going against their heritage. Alright, if you go to Deuteronomy, Second Kings 24, and then it tells you, look, in the days of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, Jehoiakim become his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. The Egyptians were trying to side with him. And the Elohim sent against him bands of the Chaldees, bands of the Syrians, bands of the Moabites, and bands of the children of Ammon, sent them against the Judites. You know what I'm saying? Sent them against Judah. So, we got chased out the land during the Babylonian era, and then that's when they settled in our land. That's when they settled and got control. And then they'll call Jordanians and Palestinians today the Amorite Babylonian scribes who are responsible for Western civilization meanings and writings, gave all them a name change so they can keep the heritage. So they can keep our heritage. Alright? So let's show that them folks ain't supposed to. I already showed that they wasn't supposed to be in the temple. And then let's show that them folks was in the temple. You know what I'm saying? They had got in our temple, in our heritage during Nehemiah time. And this was towards the end. The 99% had already ran into Africa. The 99% had already ran into Africa, in that little 1% that they had come home under the Persian rule. They they sin so bad that they let the enemies into the temple that wasn't supposed to be there, and all this will make the Greeks pop up and then put their lights out. All right, if we go to Nehemiah, let's go to Nehemiah 13. seems like I did just turn right to it. Nehemiah 13. Alright. On that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of Yah forever. Now I just showed you how the Amorite, Moabite, and Ammonite got mixed, and then how did they in our heritage as hard as today. All right. Amen. Because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them that he should curse them. Howbeit Yah turned the cursing into a blessing. Now it come to pass when they had heard the law that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. And before this, Elisha, the priest, having the oversight. Now we already know that the priesthood was already contaminated from the beginning with the Amorites because of what Joshua did with the Gabonites and how that they always stuck around. So the priest folks ain't gonna never be right. They ain't gonna never be right because, you know, them folks was sticking around and they gonna have an influence with their daughters and so forth. You know, big old booty Amorite walking around and stuff. An Israelite ain't gonna be able to resist. A big booty Amorite walking around, or a big booty Ammonite walking around, is over with. He gonna throw all values out the way, and it's been like that for us. Look, and Elisha, the priest, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of Yah, was allied with Tobiah, and then that's a Moabite and an Ammonite, and he had prepared for him a great chamber where aforetime laid the meat offerings and the frankincense. Remember where we brung our tits at, giving out things to Almighty Yah. That there was an Amorite up in there collecting everything, men collecting it, and then they would take the stuff that we donated to the temple, our tits, and turn around and loan it to us and mortgage our land, and got rid of the exiles in so many different ways. So many different ways. So many different ways. And look, man, I can prove this easy. But what the prophet Nehemiah said, let me see if I can find it. Alright, let's see if I can find that. Look. Behold, this is Nehemiah 9:36. Behold, we are servants this day, and for the land that thou givest our fathers to eat the fruit thereof and the good thereof, behold, we are servants in it, and it yield much increase unto the kings whom thou hast set over us. Because of our sins also they have dominion over our bodies and over our cattle at their pleasure, and we are in great distress. You know what I'm saying? He was in great distress, and then he sealed the real Israelites' name, and then separated them other folks from our heritage. What didn't last long because the Greeks pull up and it was all over with for the exiles. But look, he was in the meat offering place. You know what I'm saying? But where the tits was at, but in all this time was I not I at Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Xerxes, king of Babylon, came I unto the king, and certain days obtained I leave of the king, and I come to Jerusalem, and understood of the evil that Elisha did for Tobiah in preparing him a chamber in the courts of Almighty Yah. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't supposed to do that. He wasn't supposed to do that, and they had got into the temple like they in our heritage now. The temple and the heritage just the same. Man, the temple is just the form that you can see, but the heritage is inside. And man, they inside our heritage, and they ain't never trying to turn it loose. And we Israelites only gonna get back control of our heritage is when we explain real Israelite history free of Jewish myths. Alright, so we see that the Ammonites, man, they ain't even supposed to be in our heritage, and that the Ammonites and the Amorites and the giants all mixed up together, and then that would constitute uh, uh, these folks right there. Them. That would constitute them. Now, let's see about Ashkenazi. Now, we know that Almighty Yah told them to chase us out during the Babylonian War. So if he told them to chase us out, then they gonna be on the land. But this is what Prophet Noah say meant to back everything up. Well, you know, that it kind of legitimized they stay on the land, so all they need to do is wake up. I ain't begging them folks. I'm just trying to let you Israelites know that we're going to have to work with one of the Jewish groups, and that how we can't work with the other group because of long deception. Ashkenazi came in and was straight up 100 with Almighty Yah when he got us up off the land. Now, the other folks ain't even supposed to be there. They come in by deception, and that's why come all the prophecies is really geared towards them when you all boil it down. When you boil all the prophecies down, it gears towards the folks in our heritage that come in that wasn't supposed to be there. Now, man, if you go to Genesis 9:27, we're going to see what Prophet Noah said. Look. All right. We're on 9:27, and it says, these are the, let me see. All right. Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And it's just like that today. Is that Japheth is recognized by the Ashkenazi here in our house, and how the Canaanites is the Amorites, and they servants mean to Japheth in our house right now today. And that, but you see how it says that Japheth shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servants. Well, that could be the same way when we come back to our heritage, to the promised land, and Ashkenazi work up under us, and the other folks will still be the servants. You know, so it'll work out like that too. But we see that the one group, you know, roots go deep. Roots go deep. The Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Edomites, who in our heritage, they roots go back deep, way back to Exodus, with being messed up and dishonest with us, and mischief and all kind of stuff. So they ain't gonna be too quick to come up off our heritage and make things right. Whereas Ashkenaz, he just pulled up not too long ago during the Babylonian Wars. So he got a better chance of getting right and doing what's right than them other folks. The other folks, man, I can't see them doing right. And then what's at stake for the truth coming out on the Israelite heritage? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and the wars gon' fade out, and rightly so, because the wars come off our broken heritage. Judaism come off the Israelite broken covenant. The people we abandoned our heritage to, them Amorites that was in the temple, that's been in our heritage for a long time, who thought that they was Israelites, and convinced the world that they was Israelites after we left. And then how that they created, you know, the Islam to combat Ashkenazi Christianity creation. You know, and then they used them two religions to fight against each other, and that's been going on a long time. And how that the Sephardists, the Islamic folks recognize the Sephardists as Israelites, and Christianity look at Ashkenazi as the Israelites, and that's been a con game going on for a long time, and then devastated the earth. Man, the earth been tore up because of that mess. The earth been tore up because of that mess, and we Israelites got to make it right, and we're gonna make it right by coming into heritage with truth. We got to have truth. You know, you got to say that we abandoned our heritage to the Amorite Sephardics. We was chased out by Ashkenazi during the Babylonian Wars, but how one group got in our heritage before then. And then what they got at stake is that they got thousands of years of false history that they done built up finna be swept out the door. And they ain't finna be too quick, men, to want to do that. This what'll hold them up from coming to an Israelite settlement is that their religion's in place. And their religions is like a slot machine. It's paying them, and they've been pulling on the arm for a long time, getting paid. You know what I'm saying? So they ain't gonna be too quick to wanna turn the Israelite heritage over when they got a lot of, man, Judaism will crumble. It's gonna crumble anyway. Christianity is gonna crumble anyway. Islam is gonna crumble anyway, because we Israelites are waking up to our real heritage, and we didn't endorse none of those religions, and those religions were created by the people that we abandoned our heritage to, those folks that was in the land, and that how that they was confused and they created them religions off our heritage. So what's at stake is that the Sephardics, all they thousands of years of mischief and lying and stuff can be made to be seen as no good overnight. Ashkenazi, everybody kind of know that you ain't no Israelite, you know, because predominantly of the peoples with pigmentation down in them parts, and how you just been holding on to the Israelite heritage by a thread. But we can fix it where you could just serve up under us. Serve up under us, real Israelites, and we'll cut the other folks out. And then, the world can live in peace. The world can live in peace. All right, Israelites, I pray that this made some sense. But you see how the Moabites and the Edomites and all them kind of like, man, connected, and how they ain't gonna want to come up off our heritage because they got a lot invested in it. So, you know, what's at stake is that their religions will collapse, and they'll be seen as not true if we come probably anywhere near the promised land. But it's gonna have to happen. It's gonna have to happen because Almighty Yah say it's gonna happen. And how did they trick the world? By making them think that when the Jewish state made a settlement with the British government over the promised land, that was fulfilling scriptures and so forth, and how that's not, and that how we the real Israelites that's been in captivity since the transatlantic slave trade, and how we ran from the promised land during the Babylonian wars. All right, Israelites, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I pray that everybody is doing well. Shalom, Israelite Brotherhood family.